Even as we work to change systems and mindsets so that everyone in our region can thrive. Our communities need all of us to do our part to build a thriving community and help build thriving families. You truly are making a difference in what you do. And just by being here today to listen and learn more about our mission and our work. I hope you walk away with inspiration and drive to continue to do great things. The United Way team is well equipped to answer questions about how your cooperation can best support the work in our communities. And again, it goes beyond our communities, it's our full region. Thank you so much for your commitment to this great cause. Thank you for your commitment to our mission. Thank you so much for being agile and being open to systems change, which is what we need to truly help families thrive and to build thriving communities. So with that, I'll pass it back to Moira. And again, stay dry today. I am a bit disappointed about FC's loss last night. I stayed up and it was a great day for our city. The team did an outstanding job, but I'm disappointed. And so this rain, I think, is an indication of how disappointed all of us are about what happened last night. But hey, onward and upward. So Moira?
Thank you, Barbara. And yes, that was a exciting game, but they fought to the bitter end. Anyway, so like Annalisa and Mike have both referenced, we had the opportunity to do this in person, and it was so amazing, the energy. And so we're going to try to replicate that again today, just to bring that enthusiasm and energy about our community. And so I want to start with like centering us all and really, what is the United Way? We fight for economic well-being for all people in greater Cincinnati. So we want everyone to thrive, not only now in the future. And I say it's like we want everyone to launch as they feel best for themselves and as they tell us how they would like that to be. So I really want to think for a second, like we are committed on being community-led and community-driven. And everything we do, we center community voice, but we also know it's important to see data. So I think we take that data, we take that voice, and I would like to say we're trailblazers, and like we really want to make sure everybody in this region has an opportunity to tell us how they would like to thrive and launch. And we want to work collectively with you. We cannot do this work alone. And I want to talk a little bit about the urgency and the need of collaboration now more than ever, and why it is so important and why the community is asking us to do this. And before I move on to the nuts and bolts of our presentation, I'd like to talk a little bit about belonging and the power of ownership. And why is that important? When you think about being belonging, and we've talked a lot about that in our organization, being curious about what does it mean to be belong? It means to be seen, it means to be heard, it means to be believed, trusted, and respected. And so we have centered that on what does that mean to have a collective ownership in our community, no matter where you are, no matter where you sit, that we want to collectively come together, feel like we all belong together, and help solve what I would say is tricky business, which is how do we solve the challenges for our families, not only today, but in the future, so that everybody can thrive. So if you think about this, if we could create the shared ownership with all of us and how we all have a part of it, and we all have an opportunity to really change our region, I think it's so exciting. So we want to talk about really deep, intentional collaboration, fostering on the sense of belonging and making that the heart of everything we do, so that we collectively can see a region in 5-10 years that looks so different today than it does today. So I would like you to roll up your sleeves and think about what an exciting time it is to be a part of our community. And I really want you to think about how can we make sure that everybody gets to launch. Every child, every adult, every individual in our community launches to how they feel. They feel everybody has a stake in the community's success, and you're part of making that happen. So with that, I'd like to talk about the challenges. And as Mike and Barbara have both said, we're really in unprecedented time. But don't be discouraged, because I have a lot of hope and inspiration that if we can really make this we own this together collectively, we're going to drive change not only now, but in the future. So despite the challenges, we have a plan. But I first just, want to level set a little bit about, unfortunately, we have the data now that talks about what we knew was going to be the case. So things have gotten worse for families pre-COVID. We were making some progress. Not everybody was having the same progress pre-COVID, but we also know now that things have really gotten worse. We also had a chance to look at why is that? Well, we saw the safety net evaporate overnight. We saw systems that just weren't working well together. The ecosystem wasn't really accelerating, wasn't really driving at its best possible use and opportunity. So that really made us think about, well, what can we do differently? And how can we make sure that the ecosystem, all of us in the system have shared ownership, but really think about what we're doing working together. So if you take a minute and look at this slide, this is really kind of very discouraging if you first think about but again, it's not surprising, right? We've seen, unfortunately, pre-COVID, we were seeing our children in CPS about actually in the region, 62% ready for pre-K. Well, we know the last 3 years perhaps, really were detrimental for children, particularly accessing quality, affordable childcare, preschool activities. So we know now that children are not ready. And sadly, we're down to like 37%. But don't be discouraged, because we know as a region, when we lean into something and we really become laser focused on it, we can make changes. And we really want to think about, this is our future. How do we make sure every child can go to kindergarten ready to read? Because we want them to stay in school, we want them to accelerate, and we want them to move forward. So we have to really think about, what can we do now to change this quickly? Because we know that the recovery won't happen without real clear interventions and targeted investments. So if you go to the next slide, this is another slide that really has to kind of center us about, wow, we know that 1 in 4 families, that's 25% of families in our region, are not thriving. In fact, they have financial insecurity. They are making, when I was at Job and Family Services, I saw families make just really difficult decisions. Do I pay for rent? Do I buy food? Do I get my car fixed? Or my child needs to go to the doctor? I mean, having to prioritize basic needs every day is exhausting, and it's painful. And so we've seen, unfortunately, that we've taken a step back. And again, we have a plan for this, but we want to really center on, we want everybody in our region to have not only stability, but mobility. How can we help families really start to think about collecting wealth and moving forward? If you go to the next slide, the last thing we want to center on is housing. And we know housing is an issue nationally, but it certainly is a huge issue here in our region. And if you think about the costs of housing, I mean, I think it's increased 43%. Yes, there it is, monthly rate, 43%. At the same time, the minimum wage hasn't matched that. It's only increased about 14%. But we also know that evictions are at all-time high right now. In fact, they're higher than they were when pre-COVID, which were at a point where we were actually somewhat stable. And we also know that most of those evictions are for non-payment. So I want to take you back for a second. If you think about housing, if you think, I don't know where I'm going to sleep tonight, or if I'm a child, I'm going to school and I don't know what's happening at home, it's really hard to concentrate. It's really hard to stay focused. If I'm at work, it's hard for me to focus on my job and my current tasks. So we really want to think about, how do we address this issue in our region? And again, this is something we can't do alone. It's something we have to do with all of you. So if you go to the next slide, we said to ourselves, well, we have the data. We have the voices from community. We hear our stories time and time again that are so painful. We also know that none of this work can happen in isolation. We have to all be working together, going back to that shared ownership. And one thing that I saw a lot and felt, and I say feel because you feel it, poverty isn't a data point. People talk about poverty as a line and things like that. Poverty is a tight knot in someone's stomach. It's a knot of agony. It's heartache. It's exhaustion. When you think about having to go place to place to get services, or you think about all the bureaucracy sometimes that we unintentionally require individuals to do, it just wears people down. So we know this is a stubborn and this is a difficult task, but we also know that we can solve this together. And we also know that individual programs aren't going to solve this, but collectively, we certainly need to do things today, but we also want to think about, how are we going to change the conditions for future generations? And I like to think about it in terms of, how are we constructively deconstructing these systems, again, together. We all have ownership in this, and creating a system where everybody thrives and everybody gets to launch. So if you go to the next slide, we're super excited about this, because this is like centering us, like this is what we believe, the data supports it, the community voices told us this, and these are what we would think are our high impact potential opportunities, where we can really not only change conditions today, but in the future. So we're going to be laser focused with your help on educational success. That means that everybody in our region gets access to quality education They stay in school, they graduate from high school, and they think about hope and opportunities to the future, for the future. We also think about financial empowerment. How do we make sure that everybody in our regions has opportunity to not only be stable, but have really mobility and truly launch in ways that they feel is best for themselves and their family? And then lastly, we want to make sure housing security. Housing is critical to families. It's critical to stability. We know when families are evicted or they don't have stable housing, kids don't go to school, parents don't go to work, we miss medical appointments, we miss therapy appointments, all else falls apart. So we really want to launch a strategy that thinks about how we collectively bring all of us together to really concentrate and be intentional on these areas. So the good news is, if you go to the next slide, we actually are going to hold ourselves accountable to this. And this is something that we can start to say, are we making a difference? And we want to make sure the interventions that we're doing, the information that we have is truly making a difference for community. And we want to be held accountable to that. We want community to say, wait, you said you're going to do these things, but you're not. So if you take a minute and look at this slide, you'll see we actually have a plan that in 2025, we want to make sure that 10% of the children are enrolled, 10% more children are enrolled in early education. That really just gets us back to where we were. We want to accelerate that by 2030, that we're at 25%. The same thing you'll see with financial empowerment. We have actually in there a little bit about digital access, because digital access is actually a basic need now. Who would have thought that? But if you think back 3 years ago, if you didn't have access to the internet, you were shut out of education, out of job opportunities, multiple things. So we want to really focus in on that. And we also want to think about housing security. And the first thing we want to do is let's stabilize things. Let's reduce evictions. And then once we stabilize things, let's then think about what are the opportunities for families and individuals to own a home, to collect assets, to think about generational wealth. So the good news is this is something we can do together. And I'm so excited to do it with you, but we really need you arm in arm with this work. And how will we do this? Well, this is, again, gets to, I think, what Barbara had mentioned about the strong history of the United Way over 150 years. Well, what do? We take action. So you've seen us taking action, whether it's with our 211, our tax prep, our child care, our care coordinators. We're really intentional about how can we help fill gaps in the community to really help, again, solve things collectively. We don't do this alone, we do it with our partners. We also advocate. A huge part of our work is advocacy and change in policy. When you start to change policy, you start to change conditions. And that is one of the strongest, another strong pillar of our work. And the last thing is we invest. We invest in organizations that are helping us do the work, the difficult work, the important work. Again, we can't do this alone. So we require not only investments in our partners, but we also want things to be, we invest in collaborative experiences and opportunities to share experiences and create space where we can share things and learn from each other, and then accelerate that learning so that community thrives. So if you go to the next slide, we want to, it's always the numbers matter, the data is important, the voices are important, but it's always really impactful, I believe, when you actually hear from somebody. And before we share a video with you about Adrian's story, I want to just, talk, any of you that have done interviews with families and individuals, it is difficult to talk about the challenges that you have personally, to open yourself up and to say, I was struggling with an addiction. I was struggling with my mental health. I was in an abusive relationship. Those things are hard to admit, much less to yourself, but then to share. And the fact that people are willing to share their stories, I want you to think, wow, that's courageous. But then the fact that they're willing not only to share it with us, but then to us to make a video on it is really amazing. So we're going to go to the next video, next slide, and we're going to show you a story about Adrian. Then I'll say a few words about that in a minute.
Hi, my name's Adrian. I am a mother of a 3-year-old. I'm 32 years old and I'm a waitress. My son is a very energetic, brilliant, really happy kid, and I just really want him to have a stable home. I had a very traumatic childhood. It wasn't very stable. I went to 8 different schools. It was constant change. And I guess drugs were like a way for me to escape all of that pain. I knew I needed help and I needed to get help, so I kept trying. I went to rehab several times. I kept relapsing and checking myself back in. And then finally, I was able to stay clean. So my clean date is February 20th of 2018. I'm 5 years sober. There was a time where I didn't think I would be a mother. I didn't even think I was going to live very long. Before my son was born, I did not feel worthy as a mom. There was just really times I just didn't want to live anymore. I didn't think I could do it. I was just feeling like they were going to take my baby away from me because of my past. When I was trying to get therapy on my own, it was going to be like a 3-month waiting list. So it definitely saved my life because I was going to either take my own life or turn back to drugs. So thank God I got the help that I did. I'm very happy of how far I've come, but I don't want my struggles to be for nothing. I want it to be used. I was able to speak to a senator and get to share my story. And I also shared about how I tried to get daycare vouchers, but I made only $17 over the cutoff limit. And how expanding the poverty limit for daycare vouchers would have helped me tremendously, being able to get a new job. Participating in the advocacy event really made me feel empowered. I've been able to become a complete different person that I never thought I would be. I just want to thank United Way for giving me the opportunity to become a better mother, a better parent, and giving me the voice to advocate for those issues as well.
So it's an amazing journey. And what I love about Adrian's story is well, there's several things. Number one, like I have to think we all have backpacks, right? We all have things in our backpack that we pick up along the journey, and we all have challenges. And so none of us have just one challenge. We have multiple challenges, and not one organization can solve it. It's like all of us coming together to say, how can we wrap services around a family or an individual to make sure that they're having opportunities to access everything they need to be successful? And Adrian was able to do that. But what's even so amazing about Adrian is she also became an advocate. And she went and advocated for families like herself, because she knew that not only did she want to change conditions for herself today, but she wants to change conditions for her children, for other people's children, for the future. And I love the fact that she has taken her experience and become an advocate in this space. And we need more and more people like that. That's why we want everybody to own this, because we all want to own the challenges and then advocate on behalf of each other and our families. So it's really, it's just such an awesome story. And her journey's been just amazing. If you go to the next slide, I'm going to be wrapping up in a minute, but I want to just bring back to, at United, we believe everybody coming together, wrapping our arms arm in arm, and thinking about how we can collectively think about having opportunities for everybody to thrive. It's our North Star. We know that we can't meet the needs of the community by ourselves. We know that it takes all of us coming together. We want to work closely with you all. We want to make sure that we're being innovative, that we're pushing ourselves, we're testing things, we're centering community voice on what we're doing, we're looking at the data, we're holding ourselves accountable. We want to be able to think about a community that looks very different today, where everybody is engaged, everybody feels like they're heard, everybody feels like they're valued, and they have an opportunity to give voice and space. So before I close out, I want to just say I really, really super appreciate your time this morning. I hope we've created the same energy we had at the other meeting. It's hard, over Zoom, but I want you to feel the excitement that we have and the opportunities that we have about the future. We really couldn't do any of this without you. And of course, the dollars are important. So the dollars are important, the donations are important, but more importantly, we want everybody to feel like they own this opportunity in our region to change things. We want you to feel the urgency that our families feel. We want you to say, I'm refusing to tolerate the administrative hurdles, the unproductive behaviors that keep families from actually moving forward. Our community deserves the urgency that honors their frustration and the mediocrity that they've had to suffer, And we want to say, Barbara said it great, let's disrupt the status quo. Let's change this community so that everybody has an opportunity to thrive. Everybody feels like they have ownership. And I know collectively we can do it. We've done it in the past. And because of your great partnership and your enthusiasm, I'm confident that we will be able to do that and that everybody in our region will get to launch. So with that, I think I'm turning it to Johanna and David. And I really appreciate your time this morning, and stay dry.
Thank you, Moira. Thank you so much, Barbara and Mike. How can we not be inspired as the United Way team here with this great leadership and this great mission? So if we go to the next slide, I'm Joanna Navarro. I'm part of the development team here. I work with the amazing team of passionate professionals that are ready to help you run the most engaging and the most successful campaign, connecting you with speakers, Moira, Mike, and other impact speakers, connecting you with impact stories and with all the tools to help you run the best campaigns ever. So on behalf of our community, thank you to all our workplaces that care. You can see in this list that we've expanded our recognitions. Of course, we want to be more inclusive. We know each and every of the organizations that support United Way do their best to support us and to support the work. So we have top and tremendous 25, we have top new business, matching program, fundraisers, and who knows, we might expand to other categories. So thank you so much for being part of this amazing community. And there are many ways you can maximize your workplace impact. Of course, we inspiring your employees to giving them the opportunity to join this movement. Also by walking the walk and talking the talk, by matching those employee gifts with your corporate investment and your corporate gift. Matching those programs are always a best practice. Those gifts are always a best practice. Also, connecting you with your foundations. There are many intersections between your foundation purpose and our work, so we can have those conversations and connect you with those opportunities to support specific initiatives. Running special fundraising events, not only during campaign time, but year round, right? And also sponsoring our events and connecting your brands to specific initiatives. So we have great examples that we can share with each and every one of you, and we're ready to have those conversations. We're also excited about our new year-round donor engagement opportunities. And if we go to the next slide, we have new impact communities. Our impact communities are great ways that we can connect your donors year-round around the causes. Data shows, and we've listened what they told us, our donors, that they don't want to be in groups not traditionally by their demographics. They want to be with people that care about the same things they care about. They are passionate about children, about equity and access, about helping families meet their basic needs. And we also have opportunities for donors to become part of these communities by their geographic location, because they're very passionate about Northern Kentucky, our Eastern area, or our Southern Indiana area. So when you are on our ePledge, if you are a campaign that runs with our ePledge, after you give, each donor will have the opportunity to sign up to these impact communities. And if you're not on our ePledge, all our donors will be able to connect to these opportunities via our newsletters and our email communications. So that is also very important for us, that you give us access to your employees via emails, your newsletters. So we are also ready to talk to you about that and give you all the tools to connect to these donor communities. And our 2023 campaign toolkit. You guys are very used to our toolkit. You give us great feedback every year, and every year our All Toolkit improves, is enhanced, and helps you in a better way to connect to all the tools that you need to run a successful campaign. You're going to find our messaging and FAQs, our pledge cards, our amazing stories, videos, and we have more stories in our toolkit. This year, our campaign videos are Adrienne and Diesa, but in our toolkit, you can find other stories with pictures and many ways that you can plug in into your internal communications. Our impact speakers, our engagement and recognition impact communities that I just talked about, multiple tools, graphic tools, if we go to the next one, that you can plug in. We have email templates, we have agenda templates, we have invitation templates. So everything that you need to run a successful campaign is in the toolkit, because we know that you're volunteering to support United Way at your organization, and we want to make your work easy. We want to make your work as turnkey as possible. And now I'm excited to talk about, also in our campaign toolkits, our new impact experiences. You love our impact experiences, and we love them too, because it's an opportunity to connect with our donors, to have deep conversations, and for them to really see the impact of their pledge. So we bring these impact experiences to your workplace. We can host it as an introduction to a kickoff. We can host it for a lunch and learn. We can have it at our impact fairs. So Ready Kids Ups and Down is all around early education. And you heard from Moira how important it is for United Way. It has been for more than 20 years, and how now more than ever is important to help bring children back to quality childcare and help them be ready for kindergarten and succeed in school and in life. So this is a giant walkable mat, and we bring the facilitators, and people enjoy having those conversations and sharing also part of their own insights and their own experiences and their own struggles, securing quality childcare, or those challenges of us accepting a promotion or not, so they can still receive childcare vouchers. So Housing First is a Jenga game, and we play this game while we start to understand what are those root causes and those symptoms that are all part of that system that is preventing families to secure affordable housing. So this is also a game that is new, impact experience that is new this year, and we bring facilitators to your workplace, and we can host an activity as part of your campaign. We know that impact experiences, because we have the data, we know that impact experiences increase average gift and bring new donors. So we're happy to bring these to you. And of course, this year we're excited that we are revamping or expanding our impact fairs. These are interactive, gamified, and educational activities where your donors, your employees can come to each of these stations and learn more about the work, learn more about the impact of their pledge, and be inspired around why your organization supports United Way. And we can say that this year we had Western and Southern host us for an impact experience. We had around 500 employees visit the impact fair, and I'm excited to share that Western and Southern surpassed their employee goal this year, coming back to in person, right? These are activities that are helping you bring people back to the office, right? To have something exciting and something that is for a cause, for an important cause at their workplaces. Yes, and we also have in our campaign toolkit volunteer engagement. You always love to do some volunteering during your campaign. Is the best way to do hands-on activity and also connect to that important cause of United Way. So many options for your organization to request volunteer engagement, and our volunteer connection team is ready to help support your volunteer activity. And of course, I need to make a special shout out to Changemakers Award. You still have time to participate, to nominate your organization to Changemakers Award. We have until September 1st to accept nominations, and we will have several awards here. We have one for different types of sizes of companies, and we also have a special award for a community grassroots organization. So please, 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 if you are a company that you have volunteer engagement, it doesn't have to be volunteer engagement only with United Way. You can nominate your organization with all the volunteer hours and all the volunteer engagement that you year round with the community at large. So please, if you have any questions, reach out to us on how to nominate your organization. And now I'll pass it to my colleague, David Emery. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Thank you, Joanna. My name is David Emery. I'm the Senior Manager of Advancement Services here at United Way. Me and my team, we're responsible for all of the execution on the getting your ePledge campaign set up, as well as special events. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those options. You all, for the most part, most of you, if you do use our ePledge, you're familiar with that. We have links on the toolkit that Joanna mentioned already that you can click on and make sure that you get into the lineup, and we'll get you set up as quickly as possible. But many of you may also not know that we have a new platform. We've actually been using it since the pandemic. It's really allowed us, as well as other corporate partners, to start to restart special events activities that had shut down during the pandemic. And it's been a great tool, and we've seen great success with that. It can be used in person, as well as in hybrid contexts and in fully virtual instances, if you'd like. We found that when companies do shift their activities over to this platform, not only is it easier for them, they actually wind up becoming more engaging and raising more money. On average, it does increase apples to apples as much as 20% year over year. The fundraising amount when they do transition from solely in person to using this digital platform. One of the other great things is that it engages people and it brings them into the fold. It's a great way to bring attention to the campaign, to get them to give them access and get them interested in some of the things that are going on. And on top of that, there are some donors that this is how they prefer to give. This is their preferred method. This does not overlap with or take away from the giving that would be given in other contexts. It's in addition to. So all of the fundraising that goes through this platform goes directly to United Way and directly to our work in the community. So if you are interested, please, you can click on that link there. We'll be sure to share that in the chat and as a follow-up, or scan that QR code. And you can also request a demo from your United Way representative. Next slide. Oh, Q&A.
I know, right?
Right.
We're already here at the end for our questions and answers. Thank you, David. I actually just received a question about Rally Up. I typically use Rally Up for virtual opportunities. Can you tell me how we can use Rally Up for in-person special fundraising events? Does it still work if you're doing in person?
Yeah, actually, while we're answering this, if you can just go back really quick to the previous slide. So yeah, the way that it works is just imagine that you're still using your phone or your computer. It doesn't matter where you're located. The site is mobile responsive. It's super easy to use. It doesn't care where you are. So you can be in the office or you could be at home. You could be out at an event. You could be offsite. It doesn't matter where it is. The site is always there. It's always live. So one of the ways that some organizations have used this. In fact, one of our corporate partners who has done many auctions every single year, they actually, because it works so well, they said that if you're going to do an auction, you need to use this platform this year. It just makes it super easy to manage it. In particular, the bids, if you're trying to manage bids on a spreadsheet or on a piece of paper, it really can become more complicated. This system does it all at once, and it's always visible so that people can always go in and see what is the maximum bid that's on this right now. There's also some social elements to it. So So really, it actually does enhance those in-person experiences even more than if you were to just do in-person without this digital component to it. It is totally voluntary, so that is one thing. It's super easy to deploy because it doesn't require you sending us any information about your employees necessarily. If people do want to use this, they can choose to do so. We can also acknowledge individuals or companies for sponsoring or providing some of those materials. So it's also a great way to get, if your company has extra product that they want to put out there, this is a great way to show that your company is giving back and having some fun and making some money for the community on the back end. So yes, I strongly encourage, even if it is totally in person, this is a great way to engage individuals alongside whatever you're doing in person. I also strongly encourage you to do in-person activities too. Incorporate it into your kickoff, incorporate it into your finale. It definitely, I know I have been, lots of people were craving that in-person face-to-face interaction and activity.
Great. Thank you, David.
I
And
will
Joanna,
say,
yes,
excuse
please.
me, yeah, we used the system. Ohio National used it last year for the first time, and it was outstanding. Very easy to manage, and very healthy rivalries internally, watching the bids for different prizes and things of that nature. And so we hosted an in-person kickoff and several in-person activities, but we leveraged the system for prizes and things of that nature. And it was wonderful. So I would encourage all of you to consider using it.
Thank you, Barbara. We appreciate that. Yes, there's truly nothing like going onto your Rally Up site minutes before it closes to make sure you can get that final item. Thank you for that. Yes, please feel free, as Joanna said, to come off mute and ask a question. I'll take a pause if anybody wants to do that. Okay, I do have another one here. Joanna, can you tell us, can we invest our corporate gift into a specific United Way initiative?
Thank you. Oh, that's a great question. Yes, yes. So we've had several ways that you can invest your corporate gift. You can invest it as a part of our general fund, United We Thrive, but we have many partners who invest in specific initiatives like Success by Six, like Black Empowerment Works, like Project Lift. So it's very exciting to have those conversations because most of the time, when you meet with us and learn more about those specific initiatives, we have conversations about increasing the corporate gift, right? So how can we make this a multi-year corporate gift? So we're excited to have those conversations. And yes, we are ready to have that.
Good, awesome. Another follow-up question about impact fairs. What work do I need to do for an impact fair, and how is United Way involved?
We have a link on our toolkit that you can request an impact experience, and it will let you select impact fairs. Then your United Way relationship manager will reach out, and the load for you is very, very light. We just need the space, the connection. You help us invite and drive people to the event, but most of the logistics, the materials are all part of our support to you. So very easy to implement and to schedule it with us. And we are excited to be on the tour. This year, we're going to be with our impact fairs around all our corporate partners and communities. So please just request and we will run from there.
Yes, I agree with anything to get people to come and join us and participate. Oftentimes passport styles work where you have people go to each station and they can enter a raffle. I must say that Western and Southern had a dessert table like I've never seen before that I think played a big role in getting everybody there. So that's always a great way to bring the crowd in. We have another question, Joanna or David. Can you provide an example of how brands are sponsoring United Way work?
I can answer that one. That is very similar to what I just, to the other question. So grants and foundations is also ways that we can connect you. One great example that I can share here is a brand investment of P&G. So we have Always Confidence Fund is part of our Black Empowerment Works. They are sponsoring a specific fund inside the Black Empowerment Works, because their brand and mission, ambition connects very much with United Way's Black Empowerment Works purpose of helping unleash girls' and women's confidence. So we co-created with the P&G Always team that fund, and this is going for the second year now and growing. So the same as this example, it can be with a specific grant or foundation investment.
Wonderful. Thank you, Joanna. Are there any other questions from our audience today? Okay, well, in true United Way fashion, we would like to end by taking a quick selfie virtually. So Andrew, what I'm going to ask, oh, beautiful. You already stopped sharing the screen. I see all of your faces. Please come off camera. We'd love to see all of our guests here and get a great group shot of our fabulous engagement leaders. It's really the collective power of all of you that are able to continue doing the great work that Moira spoke about. And I want to thank both Moira and Barbara for being here today. This was just a really tremendous opportunity for our guests to hear from you. So I thank you so much. All right, I see some cameras turning on here.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm taking the picture.
Okay, yes, Joanna will take the picture, and I said
Okay,
camera off, sorry. Camera on.
Hold the smile because it's a couple of pictures, okay?
Okay.
Okay, one. Okay, going to the second one. Give me a second.
It's kind of fun. You don't know which one maybe you'll pop on to.
Okay, going to the second one. And here we go. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And please remember, your team is here. Myself, Joanna, David, Stephanie, Megan, Dana, we're all here, Riley, to help you in however you can with a great campaign and all of your work with United Way. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And please stay dry.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.